Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Deaf. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me is...
Maddie Lewelling.
Hi.
Madison Lewelling. Hi.
What do people call you? Maddie?
Yeah.
Keathley? Madison? Whatever?
I pretty much, if you're making eye contact, I'll respond. But Maddie, for the most part, venues call me Keathley. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, your artist name is Keathley.
Yeah. Gotta keep it Googleable.
So who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. So I am a singer-songwriter, or I consider myself a singer first, you know? I just started songwriting pretty recently. That's what I do. Now, yeah, singer-songwriter. And I perform a lot live. I do covers too, whatever pays the bills, you know? Musician. Grand title. Yeah.
So as I usually start, how did you get started doing music?
I feel like I don't really have a traditional getting into music story. I remember whenever I was pretty little, I kind of didn't like listening to music, and I realized later on that it was because I couldn't focus on anything else. You know what I mean? Like, it had to be the music or nothing. And so it all started whenever I tried out for the color guard team.
Nice.
And I'm not coordinated then, not coordinated now. Failed miserably, but I also went to high school with my cousin and my sister, and they were both into stuff like, well, actually, my cousin got into color guard, so that was her thing, and then my sister did yearbook and photography and newspaper and stuff like that, so my grandma was like, you're not going to go through high school and not do anything, so she got me into singing lessons, which were kind of terrible. I was terrible. But, of course, I've grown and grown and grown. And, yeah, that's how it came about.
Yeah. How did you learn guitar?
I didn't. I really don't know how to play guitar that well. I took some classes here and there. I've taken some with Braden Russell. I think he's the front man for Sensible Shoes now. I used to take some with Edmund Music. I've taken one lesson with Eddie Hargis. Or is it Eddie? Danny, sorry, if you're listening. Dear God, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I just never really stuck with it. So if you're a guitar player out there, hit me up.
But I mean, you still play.
Yeah, I
live.
do, because nobody wants to hire you if you play with karaoke tracks. So I've learned like 3 or 4 strumming patterns in like the key of C and bought a capo.
Yep.
And then started booking gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to like stay with music? Why not get a real job, as they say?
So actually, I do kind of have a real job. I went to high school, or I did a VOTEC program through high school and have my cosmetology license. So I have a pretty broad fallback that I never, ever want to fall back on now. But I started out wanting to teach music, and then I decided that I was like kind of hated teaching people. I don't know. I'm not very patient. Like, I like things fast. I want to keep moving, and even though I'm a slow learner, but I feel like what made me stick with it was just that I was good at it, and I'm so like. This is going to make me sound like I'm really hard on myself or whatever, but I'm not good at a lot. Like, I'm very clumsy. I'm very, like, if I try something and I don't like immediately, I'm just, like, never going to go back to it. But I was good at it, you know?
Sure.
And so everyone, or I don't know. And everyone encouraged me. I've never had to, like, I feel like that would have, if my parents weren't, I'm very, like, reliant on my parents' opinion. And so I feel like if they weren't about it, I probably wouldn't have been about it. But now it's like, I'm an adult. And so if they, like, came up to me and they were just like, listen, music's not happening for you, I'd be like, I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I was good at it, which I feel like makes me feel conceited, but I am.
You are good at it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I mean, you wouldn't keep like doing gigs and people still
hiring me.
Yeah. So you're good enough at it to where they still get you. So
right. Yeah.
So I mean, how we know each other is through ACM.
Yeah.
How did you? Because you graduated already, right?
I did. I graduated in May.
Okay. So how do you feel about your experience through ACM?
I would not be literally would not be where I am without it.
We are literally in ACM right now, so yes.
In case you were wondering. But yeah, I think it's given me just so many opportunities, and I've met so many awesome people, and I probably would have been swallowed up in a label by now, but now I'm terrified of labels. That's what ACM will do to you people. If you go, they'll make you scared of labels. But it's amazing program to be in, especially if you're kind of where I'm at, where music wasn't super like a thing for I guess for me. Yeah. For so much of my life, starting at 14, and now I've just turned 21, so that's not, some people started I know my friend Roslyn was on here, and I listened to hers, and she was like, I was singing I was performing whenever I was 3 years old, and I wasn't. I wrote a song about mashed potatoes whenever I was 3, if that counts. Coming to you on the next album, am I right? No. But yeah, ACM is the bee's knees. I would recommend it to any artist. I do recommend it to all artists that I meet and stuff who aren't in it, even if they're like 100. Be like, have you checked out ACM? Yeah.
How do you get the most out of ACM? Because I feel like some people that I've known have sort of gone and went and have just been like, I don't know, it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I feel that. So with ACM, you're not going to get anywhere if you're like the quiet, shy person, because that's totally who I was, like, right before ACM, and I got here. And I remember Scott Booker, during the, like, introduction to ACM or whatever, was basically sitting there and saying that, like, we're here to teach you the like, skeleton of it all, but you have to put the meat and the bones on it to make it worthwhile. And I remember him telling a story about a student that was just like sitting in the hallway, and he was just like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, well, I'm about to graduate in May, and I haven't made any connections or, haven't done anything. And I think the real power of ACM is talking with people, elevator chit chat, like really talking to your professors. Sephra is one of my biggest role models, and she's a instructor here at ACM, and just like Dr. Pants, or David Broyles.
Same thing.
Yeah, same difference. Are really big role models for me, not just as musicians, but as people in general. So I feel like to get the most out of ACM, you have to talk to people, communicate. I think that's what ACM provides for the most part, is just a community to fall back on whenever you're, feeling, because with every musician, there's a darkness, I feel like. And I feel like the only people who know that struggle are other musicians or creators. Yeah. And that kind of, I can't tell you how many times whenever I was taking vocal lessons with Chad Petrie, I would go in and I'd be like, well, I wrote a song, but sucks, do you want to hear it? And he'd be like, okay, so it doesn't suck, you can make it better. And then I'm like, you know what, you're right, it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what ACM has at least given me, and I feel like that's the key to success here.
Yeah. So now that you are a musician, you're a real adult with a real job doing music. How do you do that?
Emailing, typing away, not taking no for an answer, which is kind of, I take some no's for an answer because some fights just aren't worth it with certain venues. But no gig's a bad gig unless it's for exposure, I think. And writing and producing something physical, is such a major part with, in my opinion, becoming an actual musician. Because, you are an artist, I'd like to say, more than a musician. Because you can, play covers all night long and pay your bills and you live off that. But being an artist, it takes writing, dedication, never sleeping. Always being aware that somebody else is working harder than you, knowing that if you don't respond, like if somebody doesn't respond to your email right off the bat, maybe emailing them again is not going to hurt anything. If you email them like maybe 5 times, maybe you are hurting your chances, but
depends how soon you cluster them.
It's been 4 hours and I haven't heard back from you.
It's been 10 minutes and I swear they are not getting their email.
Right, yeah. I've been there, especially like if it's a big one that's just on, like if it's like a cover gig or whatever where they want you to sit in the back of the bar for 2 hours and play, that one I'm just like, oh, but if it's like Guthrie does this really cool thing called Red Brick Nights, and I was just like, hello, I want to play.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same this year, but I've only sent 1 email this year. Last year it was like 4, but I got in, so
yeah.
So it works. I think that's what it takes to be, to make, it's not about money. If you're in it for money, you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
But to make anything, you have to want it. You have to want it more than the next guy.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want it. I could just get a real job.
You do still have a real job.
Yeah. But
like you said, you don't want to fall back.
Cutting hair sucks. If you've ever cut somebody's hair, I'm so sorry. It doesn't suck. I feel bad because it's so creative. But, people are gross, and it's just like...
Well, it's not your passion.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I could be waiting tables and feel the same way about it. But whenever I feel the most alive is whenever I'm writing a song or, playing music for other people, making connections with other people through music and stuff.
So speaking of writing a song, what is your music about?
I consider, I sound so cheesy, I consider myself more of a storyteller instead of a songwriter because I'm not good at writing a song. Like whenever I sit down and I'm just like, I'm going to write a love song today, it's trash. But whenever I've just recently written this song called Avon Lady, and personally I think it's one of the better songs that I've written. It's about, I've never killed anyone, surprise, surprise, because I'm here and not in jail, but it's about a wife catching her husband cheating on him and, killing him or whatever. And I just, it's so much more fun writing stories than, because I've come from, I'm privileged. I'm a white female, straight female. So I've been super privileged all my life. I haven't had any hardships to write about. So it's fun hearing other people's stories and kind of just running with it. Yeah. I started writing a song about my mom's dad, who was I felt like he was a good grandpa for the most part, as good as a grumpy old man can be.
Right.
But she had a really hard time growing up with him. And I think that's a good story. You know, it's fun to write about real things and not have to worry so much about your dialogue towards it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can kind of, and I feel like that leaves a little more room for creativity to really prosper, because if you're like if I were to write about my first love story, it would be so boring, you know? But if I can write about somebody who, you know, like fell in love in kindergarten and kept it going until they were like 100, like that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool story.
So, I mean, your EP came out. I can't say recently because it's not that recent, but it's
like 6 months ago. Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
I still see things that like the date says like 2016. I was like, oh, that's pretty recent, right? Like, oh, that's 2 years ago. But what's on that EP? With because like you said, you like to tell stories. What's the story of Mama and Pops? Right.
So that's kind of, that one is pretty much like, that whole EP is pretty much stories that I've lived through, I guess. I always say coffee is about my one true love, because anyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with coffee. I have one outside waiting for me, and I can't stop thinking about it. No, I'm kidding. But so coffee was actually the first song that I ever written and was like, yo, this is cool. Yeah. You know, like, this doesn't suck. And then I'm trying to think. I can't even remember what's on the EP. I'm just kidding. And Swim is like a more exaggerated version of how it's like telling your parents that you're gonna be a musician. And it kind of like went through a story, I'd like to say. The songs did. Me and my producer Roslyn kind of sat down and we decided that we wanted it audibly to sound like a story. So the first one, it starts off in a coffee shop because it's called Coffee. And you know, the like next song takes you somewhere else and it takes you somewhere else. And then Mama and Pops is the last song on the EP, and it's home. So that, I guess it's probably all just about home and what's home for me. You know, I've always lived next to a train, which is silly, but we put train sounds at the very, very end of the song, which I still think is super clever. My dad was the one who was just like, hey, you should try that. And I was like, this is gold. This is so good. Yeah, so, and Mama and Pops is kind of every single time I'm at a gig and I'm like, hey, like the song Mama and Pops, this one's about my parents. And then it's like kind of a love song. Like like if I didn't say that, you probably wouldn't know. You'd probably think it was about like one person instead of two people, which I like. I really like writing songs that are open for interpretation, because what I needed whenever I was writing that specific song is probably not what you need, you know, during the time of your listening experience. So, yeah, it's just Mama and Pops. I keep getting like really off topic, but Mama and Pops is just about going home and growing up and how that kind of sucks. Darker Days is actually, I feel like this is the inside scoop right now because I really don't tell people about this, but I wrote Yeah,
I was in the class.
Yeah, I wrote it that morning. And that morning was, I don't know if you remember this, but that morning was the morning, like, the first songwriting class that we had after the election. So Darker Days is about just how the 2016 Hillary versus Trump election was my first election ever to vote in. And I really kind of had rose-colored glasses on before then. And then I was just like, if I'm going to vote, I'm going to make it count. You know, I'm going to vote for like what I believe in and stuff. So I registered to vote, and I voted for. Sorry, Grandma, I voted for Bernie Sanders. And he didn't win, but he should have. And then I voted again, and like you just realize how much the world is just like trash. And for better use of words, I don't know. And it was scary, and it's still kind of hard to cope with, but yeah. Yeah.
No, but I do remember that song. I do remember like whenever you played it and we were like, oh yeah, you could try this, and like,
yeah.
And it's interesting hearing how it was then and how it is fully realized,
Right.
And being able to hear how that song sort of flourished in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. And I agree, because I think it was like 3 whole steps too low for my range, and I was just like, I remember you said that, I was like, this key is bad for me, and you're like, just sing it anyways. And so I sang it, and yeah, everyone gave super good feedback and made me, again, the whole community thing, that made me feel like it wasn't actually garbage. Probably the whole reason why it's on the EP. Yeah. I felt like that was a really cool class period.
Yeah,
I wish,
yeah.
I'm not like, I like co-writing sometimes, but not all the time.
Right.
But I understand why David does it that way, because it'd kind of be hard to listen to 20 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think most real life, like if you're writing for labels and other artists, if you're not just writing for yourself.
Or if you're in a band, you have to
right,
co-write anyways.
It'd probably be in a co-write situation.
I mean, we wrote a couple songs
you were
together.
my first. You were my first co-write ever. I don't know if you know that, but...
Yeah. I don't remember what it was.
It was about the election, too. That was a rough year for all of us.
Yeah, it was.
And you killed it with the lyrics. I remember.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, together we stand, divided we fall. I remember that was, or something like that. It's probably not how it was put, but it was cool. We made an A, so it must have been pretty good.
Yeah. What is your goal as a musician? What's the pie in the sky, or even just the practical, like, where do you want to be?
Yeah, so I think I'd really, as far as like, I feel like with musicians, it's so hard to have like a long-term goal, because, I mean, like, I really don't want fame. It's never been about fame for me, but you have to have a following, to be an artist and make money. So I think as far as music goals right now, I'd love to start kind of like a folk indie band and go touring. I'd like to write all of the music, though, myself. Just like we talked about co-writing. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But so, yeah, long term, I'd love that. That's my main goal right now, is just to get touring. Even if I have to open for somebody who's bigger than me, I'd still love it. I want to be on the road. I want to see the world through behind a microphone. I want to see it all. I want to do it all. I think music is a really good opportunity to do all that. So I'd love to be a touring musician. Yeah. Eventually.
And then even farther down the road, what's the, like...
Yeah. Just, I probably can never teach, so if it doesn't work out where... I'd like to make enough money to pay for my parents' house, old people house or whatever, and I don't know. I've never seen myself as really living like a domestic life, or so I think I'll be doing music till the day I die. I don't know. as a woman, you're kind of always set up to be a mother and have a family and not be working. I know it's like 2018, but there's still like the underlying.
The pressure's there.
Yeah, it's there. So I really hope I don't kind of cave into that. But I wouldn't. I know. Whatever happens, happens. I'm pretty good going with the flow or whatever. And even if I eventually do have like a husband and a kid, I don't see myself being ever in a situation where I can't pursue music and be in it. I'd like to, I'd like to be a 60-year-old woman retired with like 20 albums out and going on like another tour, if that was like a good answer for your long term.
I mean,
doing it,
Rolling Stones, or I don't know if they're gonna do like a whole other comeback thing or whatever, but they've just kept at it. I mean, Ringo Starr was here not too long ago.
Really? Like at ACM?
No, not at ACM.
I was
but
about
like
to say,
in
are you
Oklahoma.
kidding? I missed it.
He played at Windstar, I think.
Okay.
But like Ringo Starr is still out playing music.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, no, as he should be. I think that's really cool. That's really cool. What does he do?
I mean, I think he has like a band and everything.
Yeah, and they just do like Beatles, I wonder?
I think he does some Beatles. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen Ringo Starr. I don't think you could get me into a casino if they're not paying me, but
right. You're like, I'm just here with the facts, Maddie. I don't know everything else.
But yeah, probably. He probably plays some Beatle stuff, some of his own stuff.
Yeah.
But who's your favorite Beatle, real quick?
John Lennon, hands down. He's the one who wrote the meaningful lyrics. I think he's the one who, I think Paul McCartney could have made it on the charts, but I think the reason why they stick to your teeth and they really just have a hold on everyone still is solely because of John Lennon's writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Switching gears. Oh, wait, no, not yet. What advice do you have for other musicians?
Oh my goodness. Do you want to give me advice? I don't know. I'd just say, if you want to do it, do it. And do it well. Not even as far as talent, but be there at your gigs, show up, talk to people, just go all in. If you're gonna do it, don't call yourself a musician and do karaoke once a night with your friends. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of terrible advice. Everyone's like, well, duh. But get out there and put yourself. You're not gonna, making demos in your room, putting them on SoundCloud unless you're super talented. You have to post that shit and get it out there.
Yeah.
And so just do the dang thing. Sorry.
You can say whatever you want here.
Okay, perfect.
Now switching gears. Always, I can never transition well. So, what is the role of spirituality or religion in your life?
Yeah, it plays a really big part in my life. I feel like, definitely. I don't consider myself a Bible thumper or anything like that, but I mean, I believe God exists. I pray to him. I have conversations with him, which makes me, if you're not religious, probably sound like a crazy person. But, I've struggled with anxiety for most of my life, and I think without religion or spirituality, I would probably be just a bundle of nerves that's sitting in a corner and crying or something. So that's kind of the role that religion plays with me, I believe. That there is a God, and I think he helps us through things, and if you want him to, I think there's also, people who aren't so religious. I think he just kind of steps back and is like, like as far as free will comes into play or whatever, I think he's just like, he gives you whatever you choose. So I think if like I were to pray and ask for guidance, I think he would give that to me. But I think if you weren't looking for that, he wouldn't, not to like neglect you or whatever, but he just wants you to be like a happy soul. I think, I don't know, I'd like to think that God was
All
a pretty
of this
chill
is
dude.
your opinion, so you don't have to hold back on anything.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think he's probably a chill guy.
How have you grown in that spirituality? A lot of times people, especially like being a teenager, it's like, no, I will rebel and not be what my parents tell me to be. But then at some point you just kind of acknowledge it yourself. How have you gotten there yourself?
So I feel like growing up, I've never really like, we were raised Christian. Me and my sister were raised Christian. But it wasn't ever like we never went to church. I mean, we would like every now and then. I think we were part of North Church for the first like maybe 10 years of my life, but it was never like a big thing.
Right.
But anytime we would come across like a really big obstacle, my mom would just be like, pray about it. So, and I feel like I've kind of grown into that by, I think, okay, so where I think my personal views kind of reflect on like how I've grown into my religion and spirituality is how so many Christians now, or not now, but forever, I guess, have been like really freaking weird about sexuality and like, I'm trying to think like abortions and just like, I don't know. I don't want to at anybody, so never mind. I was going to tell him a story, but like...
You can be vague about who this person is.
Yeah, just like, I remember hearing a story about somebody saying that marijuana would just lead to sin and more sin, and I don't know. So I feel like how I've grown into my spirituality is pretty much like, I believe that if you're genuinely a good person and you go into everything with feeling good about it in your soul and like, that it's not bad. Like people who find themselves in maybe not a straightforward sexuality, I hate that they're denied Christ. That they're faced with this like if you're not a certain way, you're going to hell. I think that's like such an anti-Christian mindset to have. And I'm not saying my parents are pretty much like, hey, if you're not hurting anyone, do whatever. But I have been confronted with just some views that I'm like, well, I understand that it's in the Bible. I know that it like, I don't know, might be true, might not be, but I think the Bible was written by, it didn't just float down from heaven, like it was written by human beings. And I mean, everything that is created has some of your own dialogue in it. And I feel like maybe it's so easy to disagree with something and then write down like, hey, this is a sin too, in case you were wondering, and then be like, frick, what do I do now? Like I'm a woman who braids my hair, so I'm sinning. Like if you are familiar with the Bible, there's a lot of really stupid sins that probably aren't sins. Yeah.
So then what is the usual good question? What is good to you? How does one be morally good and do good things?
Right. I feel like everyone has this like thing inside of them telling them like, hey, this is effed up, or hey, this is okay to do. And sometimes like that effed up thing is more beneficial for you. And I feel like being a good person is not doing that effed up thing. Even though it'd be more beneficial for you if it doesn't help the, like, grand scheme of quality of life for others, you know? Yeah. Like, I can't tell you, I swear I'm a good person after I say this, Mom. I'm sorry. But I can't tell you how many times I've been in a store and I'm just like, I could steal this. I'm low on money. And then I just don't because, like, I would never be able to sleep, you know, again, ever. So I think everyone just has, like, this inner dialogue or monologue or whatever that's just like, hey, that's kind of fucked up. I wouldn't do that.
Sure.
And then... and that's kind of hard. I feel like you kind of start having that at, like, a young age. And I feel like if you keep neglecting it, it becomes second nature to neglect it. And I feel like that's how you get people who are trash people. You know, like, again, not going to at anyone because I don't know who's going to listen to this. But they're just, like, people in the media and stuff that you're just like, wow, they're really bad people. And I personally think that they probably started that at a really young age, just, like, ignoring the good side to help, like, benefit themselves. So I think just to be a good person, all you need to do is be like, is that effed up? Yeah, I'm not going to do it, you know?
Yeah. And then, well, normally I ask the God ? And free will ? But you
I've already
pretty
covered
much,
it.
Yeah.
This isn't my first rodeo, or it is my first podcast with Santiago, but I've listened to many of them.
But just to cover it, God ?
Probably. Yeah, possibly.
Free will ?
If you want it, I think, you know, like, I think, I don't know. As far as for Christian or, like, God following people, I think if you ask for it, I think God has an end game for you. I think God probably has an end game for everyone. But I don't know. I've never met the guy. I think I don't know. I feel like he has the beginning, middle, and end and everything like that, like, figured out for you. But you have to make the right choices and have to decide things for yourself. And, you know, I can't tell you how many things in my life that I'm just like, wow, this sucks at the moment. And then, like, 2 years later be like, that had to happen for me to be here. Which I'm sure, like, if you don't follow any religion or certain type of religion, you can still find that. And that, like, I don't know if fate is covered under that too, because I probably believe in fate, which is probably free will, or, like, not free will. I don't know.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but I think free will is there if you want it. I think also if you need some guidance, God's there to have your back.
Cool.
Yeah.
We mentioned the political sphere, and I tend to bring it up each time. How have you been affected socially and sort of mentally, if that's the thing, by the current political climate? And then what can you do or we do to improve it?
So me personally, I was raised by fairly Republican people. You know, like, we're in Oklahoma, so it's not hard to come by a red-blooded Republican. So it's kind of hard to shake some of those, you know? But again, kind of going in with the religious thing, I think if you're not hurting anybody, just freaking do it. Like, I know, what's the marijuana bill that's
I don't remember the number, but it is
me
a
neither.
number.
It's a number. It starts with a 7. I think it has a 6 in it. You should vote yes on it. That's how I feel. I think there are just so many things politically that shouldn't even be up for grabs, but, like, somehow are. Like, putting laws against women's bodies, like, that's so stupid. Like, if you want to do something, do it. And, like, just genuine, like, health products and stuff, and just, like, as far as, like, women's stuff go, I think it's so stupid that you have to, like, now pay for birth control. I think, like, if you don't want to procreate, like, you should still be able to
Not
go out and,
yeah.
you know? But I think there's so many weird things politically that are happening right now. What a time to be alive, you know? I don't know that it's anybody's specific fault. But I think positively, you can log off of Facebook whenever you see somebody saying that Trump is actually God. You know, like, I think you should, if you don't like something that you're reading, Facebook is a platform where you can post your opinion, but if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it. It's easy. It's easy not to be a shit person.
Yeah.
You just don't say something.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you feel bottled up about it, there are so many like-minded people also on the interwebs, so you can find somebody who you know, click with and be like, yeah, I think you're right about Trump being God. I don't know. I've never actually read that podcast, people, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just not being a bad person will make it easy to put positive vibes out there as far as political things go, like, if you disagree. Unless you're, like, an advocate against something and you don't, like, you're in the political atmosphere and you're, like, protesting or something like that, then, I mean, like, go for it if it's something you really believe in. But, like, as far as like, if your aunt is a Republican, don't freaking call out, don't be like, Susan, you're an asshole for thinking that. Just be like, you know, Aunt Susie has different views than I do, and that's okay. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just in general, how do you spread the love outside of just politically?
Right. Recently, I feel like it's been harder to do that. I feel like I've been kind of trying to step back from social media, even though it's hard to do as a musician and as somebody who wants to kind of be like an influencer maybe eventually, as far as like songwriting and stuff goes. But I think just being kind to others whenever they're down, or like if you see somebody struggling with something, you help them. And that can be as far as like, you know, you see somebody who can't lift a bag of sand at the grocery store. That happened to me the other day, and I was like, hey, do you need some help? And helping them do things, and just like stepping outside of maybe my comfort zone to make other people feel comfortable and feel okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
My family. My family makes me really happy. And music. And, you know, really vibing with somebody. It makes me really happy, which is probably why I really like my family, because we can, you know, just laugh and sit for hours, which I'm so blessed to have that, because I know so many people don't. My friends make me happy. My dogs make me sometimes happy. I figured out recently that I am not the animal person that I thought I was. Dogs can be annoying, y'all. They can, you know, you have to feed them and water them. Oh my God. No.
Water them like plants?
Yeah, just like hit them with the water hose and be like, you're good for the day. Yeah.
And then what advice do you have for people outside of just musicians?
Yeah. Don't post the mean comment. Don't say the mean thing. Don't call somebody out because you disagree with them. I know that I kind of already covered that, but just like listen to the angel on your shoulder instead of the devil. Like, it's really not hard to be a good person, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you struggle with it, I feel like everyone kind of struggles with it and, like, dives into a little bit of narcissism every now and then because you have, your inner dialogue is the only dialogue that you really kind of ever have. And I've read before, like, try letting somebody else be the main character in your story or whatever, like,
Mm-hmm.
of life. And I don't think that that's possible. I just don't think it is. Because I've realized since I've been grown or whatever that you're alone a lot more than you're with somebody, like, driving places, grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And you're the person that's, like, in your head. So, like, try and have so much advice from Keathley or Maddie. I go by so many names. But just, like, have a positive monologue in your head and also verbally, in and out. Just be a good person.
Yeah. Cake or pie?
Ooh, why is that such a hard question? That's the hardest question you've asked. Man, I can fuck up some pecan pie. So pie, probably.
Yeah, I stole that question from a different podcast.
Really?
And so, and my girlfriend and I have been like sort of jokingly bickering about it. So
Right?
it's like.
So what are you? What, cake or pie?
It's pie.
Pie, right. Pie is great. Cake is an occasion, I think. But you can, like, go for a coffee and a pie whenever, year round.
Yeah.
Except for pumpkin pie. Do you like pumpkin pie?
I
was about to say.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like this is making broad generalizations, but I feel like people who like pumpkin pie like cake more.
Oh my God, you're so right. Every person that I'm like, yeah, pumpkin pie is good. Like, I think my dad likes pumpkin pie, and he's a cake person.
Yeah.
So I don't think pumpkin pie is real pie.
It's not that great.
No, it's trash.
It's a flavor that you breathe.
Ugh, yeah. Ugh. And have you ever, like, dissected a pumpkin, but, like, carved a pumpkin? That's all disgusting, and you're just gonna, like, eat it by choice? What is wrong with you?
Anyways, Maddie, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, no problem.
It's so much fun. Where can we find you and your things? And what do you have coming up?
Yeah, so...
This is coming up on Thursday, by the way. This is when this is being posted.
Oh, I was like, what's coming up on Thursday? I don't have anything going on Thursday. I have some gigs coming up. If you want to go to those, I'll be at Flat Tire Burger July 6th and July 13th, I think. Those are just, like, cover gigs or in the back of the bar kind of thing. And then, so you can find all my music. It's on Apple Music, Bandcamp, Spotify. If you stream it and you like it, you should buy it. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
If you're, like, down to support local music.
Yeah.
And social media is at Keathley Music. You can friend me on Facebook if you want to. That one's Madison Keathley Lewelling. If we have mutual friends, I'll accept. If we don't, I probably won't because I'm a paranoid psycho. And probably will think that you want all my money, even though how do you even get money from Facebook? And I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, thank you for doing this with me.
No problem.
Yeah. I'm Santiago Ramones.
I'm Maddie Lewelling.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I have this podcast, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, on YouTube, and on my website itself. You can comment or leave reviews on all of the things. Say some nice things if you have nice things to say. I would appreciate
Only
that.
say nice things. Remember. No, I'm kidding.
And then you can download and listen to my demo, Songs with Words, and that is $0 or however many dollars you want to throw down on that. I always end my podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.
Mm-hmm.